Today. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's Daily Brief. Welcome back. We've done this as a public video here. So, and actually, this isn't our daily brief. Did I just say the daily brief? This is our broiler chicken show. Beg your pardon. And it is sort of our free offering for the public. The link just did go out, so we're probably going to have a whole bunch of people that you've never seen before pop in here. So just be kind to them if you could. And if anybody, of course, wants to hang out on the YouTube page, it looks like that's up and running now. Hold on a second. In BCS now. Talk later. So welcome back to the frivolity. Our right-hand man, Thomas, of course, is off salmon hunting, so he's probably not going to be around for comment. But this will be just sort of our time to sort of clean up. I know there've been a lot of requests and stuff by people, so maybe we'll go take a look at a whole bunch of coins and just sort of give you our 2 cents. We've got El Davonator is in the house, I see. Nice to see you, sir. I haven't seen you around in a while. I'm sure Dav actually has been posting lots and lots of buys that he's been doing around the market. So really, it shouldn't surprise anybody to hear that the smart money is slowly accumulating this space again, getting ready for the next round of insanity. But, you know, make no mistake about it. We're sort of grinding our way here along here, trying to figure out if we're going to put in a bottom. You know, there isn't going to be a whole, you know, world of new commentary on Bitcoin. All our regulars, you know the story. It really hasn't changed much over the past month or two. You know, Bitcoin Dad, you know, U.S. government hearings. Dead cat bounces out of that panicked event through, you know, technically appropriate levels or reload zones. And all we've done over the past, an interesting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, basically 2 months, is just dead cat bounce off of that event and come right back down and test those lows. You know, I have been posting out on Twitter and stuff like that. I've been really interested in the Japanese story. I still believe that there is a shitload of you know, Bitcoins that can come out of Japan on a moment's notice. If I understand correctly, the Mt. Gox trustee, I don't even know if they call them trustees there or not, but he's been sort of given instructions of late not to fucking just market slam the bid here. And I think most of the people, you know, for regular site members, Thomas does a fantastic job on reporting the Mt. Gox soap opera. And if I understand correctly, they are now into, I think they call it civil rehabilitation. So if anything, you know, what we might, you know, I've been sort of postulating all along here that we're coming into a we are at a very interesting trade location. I'm a big fan of harmonics. And of course, you know, we showed you on the Bitcoin chart itself, we are in zones where, ironically enough, the smart money would start accumulating this asset again. And just really nothing more than just purely a technical play, regardless of the fundamental story. But interestingly, technically, on this Japanese market, and we see it on Phoenix and stuff like that too, so it's not just specifically here, but I do find it fascinating how the market has obeyed this trend line very closely the whole way down here. So I think, you know, in my opinion, for whatever the hell that's worth, this trend line is sort of your line in the sand. And if we can start closing above this line, and a lot of, you know, old timers, they like to see 2-bar confirmation. And I think here's a great example where we came up to the line. We actually closed above it once, but then shit the bed the next day, back down. You see that a lot. So if you're working with trend lines, you want to add that to your sort of repertoire, add that to your screening sort of criteria, if you will. For a trend line to be officially broken and moving averages and support and resistance, a lot of old timers like to use 2-bar confirmation. When we zoom in closely on this, I mean, it's remarkable how closely the market is following this trend line. So you can see we banged up against it here, then we lost it, and then we banged up against it here. Came really close, and on this wild gyration, the market basically set up a huge trading range. And that's sort of what we've been trapped in for the past week or two. And I've been telling our audience in TRI that we really can't make any big decisions about Bitcoin and its future until this trading range is resolved. And that's just the simple blue lines that you see here. You know, you'll notice that we did come down and put in a nice little fractal pivot. And I don't know whether that's actually, is that a new low? 75.3.116, 73.191. So 5. Yeah. So that is a fractal. And it's interesting how today's price action tried to break the trend line and also confirm the fractal. And of course, you can see the bigger double bottom that's trying to come in here. The only problem with that thinking is if we change this to a line chart, you see that Mr. W disappears. So, you know, usually if we, and the irony of it all is you look at it after the fact. And you're just like, wow, okay, yeah, there was the W. It's as plain as day, Brian. So the problem with this is there really should be some sort of test of this clothesline low for our bottom. But we often, you know, like Ethereum last year was a great example where it came down, it violently spiked up, then it went sideways and put in the W. So you never really know for certain how this is going to play out. But, you know, an old-timer technician like me, I'd really like to see some WE type action down here for me to really believe that the bottom is in. Now, what's fascinating about this, right, is that we have technically 3 different harmonic patterns all coming to a juncture here. We have one site member, Steven. He works with harmonics extensively, and I know he would debate with me as to whether the time window of this harmonic pattern has passed and whether guys like Scott Carney and stuff would actually, you know, start negating these harmonics because they didn't set up on time. But, you know, I can live with the notion, the idea that if this thing does W here, that we probably got a half decent pivot in the market. I also suggest to people, and I think this is, you know, it's really powerful trading information, is when you see these kind of patterns, always look left and see whether these levels that you see developing in the market happen to line up with previous candle body lows. So I think what's happened here ultimately is we call this, you know, wicks and tails like to be eaten. And in essence, that's the process the market's going through, is just sort of exploring into this tail. Do I really want to be here? I'm going to eat a little bit of it. And if this really is a W, we'll put in a nice W and take off from here. I think, you know, it's interesting how classic harmonic guys, they like to use the 38.2 as sort of the first objective. And I found it interesting that just on the blind bat, this is a bearish bat, a bullish bat pattern, beg your pardon. We literally just dead cat bounce, bang, straight up to 38.2 here. So we're close. You know, it's frustrating. You know, in tweets and stuff, I got to go, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, right? It's tough. And everybody, of course, you know, I want to go on the public forums and social media and stuff and go, this is the bottom, that's it, right? And, you're going to make money if you just go and buy right now, rock and roll. But we're just not there yet. We're close. We're getting better. And, the irony of the longer term sort of thinking here is, and especially for all that, keep in mind, there's a lot of people who do not like watching screens 24/7. They got lives. They love to play canasta. That's an inside joke on the site. And I would just simply, suggest to those people that the fluff has been taken out of Bitcoin price. Could we swim around here for a bit more? Sure. But the real danger in investing, what I see when I was a broker and stuff, is, of course, people come in and buy up here. And then when we work our way back down to reload zones and lines in the sand and against previous support and stuff, these people, they've lost all interest. They're down like 70, 80% on their investment. Their money's basically gone. So, for those people that are patient and disciplined and love this reload zone concept, I have no problem whatsoever people coming in and just starting to nibble away here. You don't need to bet the farm. And, as the anecdotal evidence builds, W's, divergences, all that kind of fun stuff, we can always add to the trade. And then, of course, when we start getting higher highs and higher lows, you can always start adding to the trade. But I really don't have a problem. And, the cool part about it is we go through all of the names, right? Because I like to keep track of all the tether instruments here. And we're seeing some really, really interesting battles going on in the market. I noticed Cripple is trying desperately to pivot here. I noticed that, I think in the lounge we were talking about, people were talking about Ethereum's trying to pivot here. I think Ethereum actually looks a little better versus Bitcoin, the chart. I don't know whether I would actually feel comfortable calling that a W yet. That looks still a little bit sick. But Thomas, my right-hand man on the Daily Brief shows, he loves watching Litecoin, and it's interesting how Miss Charlie did a video recently, public, and people were like, "Wow, they didn't really talk too much about actual Litecoin price." But I'd be really interested to hear whether Mr. Lee is actually going to start going back in and accumulating his position. He was pretty famous for blowing out his Litecoins up top here. But you can see sort of that same logic, downtrend lines, previous candle body lows coming in, wicks and tails like to be eaten. This was the Bitcoin dad orgy in here somewhere. Dead cat bounce, counter trend rally. You can see we've actually gone below reload zones, coming right up against these tails. And, you don't need to be a hero in this space. Everybody, what's cool about this is everybody should. And you can see, right, candle bodies, we're having trouble here because we actually lost. We're still going to be a little bit more work to get that W to come in. But I think you can make the argument, especially if you shift this to like a line chart, you can start to see the W's trying to come in. And you don't need to be a hero here. Nobody needs to be a hero. Just let the W's come in. And if anything, this was a really good analogy of how the adults can kind of shit on the crypto kids. And I wonder, we have to be a little bit careful about this because today's Sunday. And so the adults are coming back, probably in about 6 hours, the adults will start coming back. So you just have to be careful here. Last weekend was the Easter holiday, and you can see the cute little double bottom that they put in here. They rallied it up, and this was like Monday, the holiday day, right? The 3rd, I think. Well, actually, it's Tuesday. So Monday the 2nd was the holiday. So there's the 3rd, rock and roll. And the adults basically, and what's so cool about our site, what do you think, guys? Has anybody bought into the idea that markets like to pivot through the Tuesday, Wednesday London kill zones? I mean, we just got so fucking schooled on this last week. It was ridiculous. In essence, they literally brought the market up right into that Tuesday, Wednesday London kill zone and just bitch slapped the market. I mean, it was violent. We're looking at these charts 24/7, but the fail, it was the most beautiful. Hopefully everybody can see. I mean, you don't get more textbook and I'd just be curious, is there anybody well, you guys in our community, if you don't know this, I'll be pretty pissed off. But everybody on YouTube, do you see what formation this formed right into that Tuesday London kill zone? And it was just absolutely textbook. You literally couldn't write this any better. It was just beautiful, right? Beautiful heads and shoulders. And that was right through that Tuesday kill zone. And if anything, too, what you'll also notice is this actually happened on a really well-defined divergence in momentum. So you can't say that the market didn't warn you that there was trouble. You can also see, too, that we had actually really good anecdotal evidence that the bull just simply fell asleep at the switch, right? You can sort of see the bulls just falling off here. And as soon as the bull fell asleep, the bear divergence was confirmed. Julian, he loves to trade his RSI model. And, of course, he's going to be watching that trend line like a hawk. So as soon as that failure came in, everybody should have been like, oh, shit, Tuesday kill zone, head and shoulders. The bulls lost momentum, both in the buying power and in price momentum. Look out. And baboosh, down she goes. It was really interesting, too, through this week because we run a day trader program on the site. And we have actually a pretty active day trader community, and we're all hunting the kill zone setups first thing in the morning. And Friday morning, we actually had, hopefully everybody can see, and hey, I'm glad it didn't happen. But hopefully everybody can see we had a potential bearish AB equals CD that was projecting down into this, 6,000 area. And what I found fascinating last Friday was price was working its way lower. It came down, and then we just stopped on a dime. And it was remarkable to watch the action through here. I don't think, in probably the 4 years I've been following Bitcoin, very rarely do we ever get these windows where volatility just comes right out of price and it just stops. As well, too, on this chart, what I really liked about this was we actually had two very powerful drives down that were instantly rejected. Now, there's this drive down, I'm a bear, I'm a bear. You notice the bears really didn't show up on this bar. And instantly, the next bar, get your fucking ass out of there. And then sideways, load up on more shorts, load up on more shorts. And then they did it again. Okay, let's drive this market down. And this is a beautiful railroad tracks. And actually, it was really interesting. My day trade setup from Friday had me shorting through here, playing this AB equals CD, anticipating the bigger one. And it was it was interesting because all of my momentum models, everything turned up on this railroad tracks reversal, and I actually got pretty good looking little buy signals coming in on momentum indicators and stuff right out of here, right? You can see the W in the RSI right through the 50 line too. I mean, this is textbook, and also you got a bullish divergence here off of these lows. So you can see there was a bit of buying power that came in on that candle. The bull is awake, higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, rah, rah, rah. So it's understandable. And also, too, you never know in the weekend what the sort of plan is. Considering how bearish the sentiment is in the community, didn't surprise me that we actually had an up move here. But what I did find fascinating through Friday was how it just felt like the market just simply ran out of sellers. Everybody who was going to sell, sold. Everybody who was going to short, and I even hear a lot of sort of Twitter talk, the shorters were just like, oh, yeah, Bitcoin's going to zero, Bitcoin's going to zero. But just watching price action, it was clearly obvious that the market just simply ran out of sellers. It's quite remarkable, really. So here we are, a few days later. We got to get ready for a new trading week. I suppose you could argue even on this stamp chart, you can see, and Joshua is back in the house. Oh, motherfucker. So you can see Joshua is going to be back at work here. You can literally see the levels that they've set up. Joshua, are you here? Yeah, there he is. You can, yeah, you bastard. So you can literally see the levels that they've already set up, and what a coincidence, that's going to be right against this pivot bottom. And unfortunately, of course, all the crypto kids, they're all going to be long up here and stuff like that, right? And oh, we're going to the moon, we're going to the moon. And I could, we're going to have to watch how the adults act here. But this is actually going to be a really important level for Bitcoin through the coming week. So keep your eyes open on this 6,600 area. We'll call it that on Stamp. And what's really cool too, if we go back to our Japanese yen proxy, if we, and I was tweeting this out earlier, not only did we have 3 harmonics all say that this is a pretty important level, but we actually, if you go down to the lower time frames, man, it's incredible how this set up. So trying to figure out how the market actually pivots off of this, this is all these harmonic levels, but now we're looking at a lower time frame chart. Do you guys notice that we came down? It was interesting because while we were having this conversation last week, or maybe even, I guess, 2 weeks ago now, the question was, how are they going to hit this 127? And keep in mind, harmonics are pretty, they're pretty static. They're pretty solid, right? So if you have, like the 3 drives working, and you can see how they brought the market down here, rallied it away, and then a big fuck you to run these stops to actually validate that 127. Well, we noticed they did the same thing, right? Tanked it into 127, but not quite. Brought it back, fuck you. Then we get the railroad tracks on the bottom, and this candle finished right on its knees. Great capitulation candle. And of course, there is the 127 validated. This was the holiday weekend, jumped it out, and our commentary a week or 2 ago, everybody on the site should remember this. I said there's no bloody way they were going to let Bitcoin run away from them and not give the big boys the opportunity to get in off of the appropriate level. And so that's exactly what they did. This is this whole action last week. And there is that little window where I said that it just felt like the market just simply ran out of sellers. So, do they have to bring the market back down into this area, fill Joshua's gaps one more time into the early week to let the big boys actually strap this on appropriately? I don't know. I will say one thing for absolutely certain. We do actually have a nice intraday double bottom working. This is one hell of a level. And very simply put, for a guy like me, if I actually get now a nice closing bar above this level, can you guys all see the massive W that'll come in here? So, if we're a bull, well, just go take out this level. And you can see also, too, there's that trend line that we've been talking about for a while. And, this is the weird part about trading. Is all the pro traders, they know this, but in essence they're sort of the battle lines. You want to make this really simple, if this really is a bull, well, just go take this out. What's the big deal? What, Shane, call up a couple of your buddies, just go and buy this thing and break it out, please. Dav, get off your fucking mountain of gold coins and go and buy some Bitcoin, damn it. But, that's how close we are to this thing pivoting, but it's not there yet. And the worst part about trading, right? The absolute worst part is if you front run this and you're like, oh yeah, they're going to break it out. They're going to break it out. What's Murphy's Law say? Murphy's Law says we come right up here and then we crap out. And now you go, oh, God damn it. Not another goddamn smiley face. And we all know what happens when you see the market smiling at you, right? Anybody remember? What are you guys over on YouTube? Do you know what to think if you ever see the market smiling at you? Whoa, Funte says Brian motherfucking Beamish. Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah, where's that, Rob? Where's my canasta outfit? I'll show you my canasta outfit. Where's the Twitter feed? I love these guys. Actually, I have it right here. I'll show you. This is my canasta outfit. And actually, this is courtesy of Garrett. Garrett is my right-hand man. always got my back in school. And you know, a shout out to James and Garrett. They just did a fantastic job supporting me through this past term. And all you level oneers, man, you guys got such a treat having them on board. Where is my canasta outfit? It's around here somewhere. Oh, geez, too many pictures. All these pictures of Bitcoin Dad. Where are you, canasta? It's been a while, I guess, since I've screen shared this. Oh, that's too bad. I hate when I waste your guys' time. Oh, there it is. Yay. Here's my canasta outfit. I love that. That's beautiful. PMA for the win, baby. So, anyway. So we're close, but we're just not there yet. Sucks. Don't, you know, there's an old expression in the market, you can't push a chain. So if you've ever tried, you'll know how hard it is to push a chain. We have to let this bottom, we have to let it break out, and then we know that the bull is back. But, you know, it's anybody's guess whether the bull is back for earnest. Once these structures come in, then at least we got stuff to work with. Right. So that's sort of my Bitcoin spiel. And really, the message hasn't changed a heck of a lot. We're closer to the bottom than we are the top, and things are starting to look constructive heading into our very normal sort of seasonal window. I think actually I tweeted out this morning because I thought this is a really good example, and it's the same thing I just said a moment ago, but from a little different perspective. I built this indicator, the Willy, about 10, 15 years ago now, with just this simple desire to try and give me a tool to show me when markets have maybe moved a little too far in one direction or the other. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a buy or sell signal unto itself, but it's a nice, handy reference for me to see when, hey, things have gone to a bit too far of an extreme. And that is in essence, really, you could even argue that it's not even really the indicator, but it's more the moving average of the indicator. And when the moving average of the indicator gets into overbought zone right here, my simple message to people would be, look, there's going to be a better time to buy, and you can see how it dipped out of the overbought, came down, put in cute little W's, and this is when I'd want, you know, people that were interested in buying here, this is where I'd want you pulling the trigger. Same thing through here, and this is where it gets really difficult when we get markets that go into face rip mode. And, you know, we had an education program running last fall, and it was very difficult to try and convey to the students that at some point the market will calm down. It will trade back to reload zones. You just have to wait for it. You have to be patient. And, you know, this chart is just, it's poetry. It's almost artwork in a weird sort of way, because it is in essence, you know, very real look at the world, you know. Anyway, long and short of it here with regard to Willy, as we were coming down into Bitcoin Dad's, you know, U.S. government testimonial, the CFTC guy, you see that Willy got a little bit stupid here. And in essence, the simple rule of the indicator is, I think that this would not have been a very good idea to be a buyer here. If you could wait for this dip and this reversal, that's better. I don't think it was a very good idea to be a buyer here. If you could wait for Willy to actually get stupidly oversold and, of course, back down into reload zones, awesome. But you have to understand, why do I call it stupid? Well, the simple answer is the public does the exact opposite of what they're supposed to be doing. So what ends up happening is, when I was a broker, guess when the public would be calling me to buy Bitcoins? Guess when the public would be calling to buy Bitcoins? And of course, guess when the public is calling to buy Bitcoins? What do you think the public is doing when this happens? Well, the sad part about it is they're probably panic selling. It really sucks, but it's so cliche. And of course, they got hoodwinked here. And this correction, I don't know whether we have to play around with these lows. quite a few previous Aprils, yeah, we would have one more fuck you dip into sort of mid-April, tax season, all that stuff. Then our seasonal bottom would come in. So I don't know whether we're here yet or not. We've talked lots about that just a few minutes ago. Japanese yen markets, blah, 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 blah. But we should be looking down at our indicator and understanding exactly what the public is thinking right now. Does that make sense? What do you think the public is thinking right now about Bitcoin? Do you think the public is at all interested in Bitcoin right now? Yeah, they probably, it would be interesting to pull up CNBC. I bet you a lot of, that NAUT guy. And I don't know how the fuck that guy got a job on CNBC as their crypto analyst. That is beyond me. And nobody's ever held him to account over that fucking fraud of that NAUT, which just pisses me off to no end. And nobody even mentions it, right? Which it's so frustrating. It's like that Max Kaiser and his stupid, remember that Max coin? What a joke. I mean, why would you even listen to people like that? And yet these guys, they're like the guys on CNBC's got like a fucking salary job. Anyway, I think the market has made a fool of him with his silly. What was that coin? There was one coin where he said, "This is how you buy the top of the market, and then this is how you panic dump at the bottom of the market." You guys remember that? What was it? Was it Ripple? Cripple? Oh man. Anyway, so what do you think they're thinking on CNBC right now? Right, that little Chinese girl that does the afternoon show. With the people. My hunch is she's and Michelle Cabruza Cabrera. Oh man, she just hates crypto. Right? You can imagine those guys. They are just having a field day right now. Right? They're just having so much fun, and they're probably totally picking this space apart. But what they don't realize, or they probably do, well, hopefully, they're financial journalists. Are they actually half decent traders? I don't think so. And half of the time, I believe that they are actually puppets, that they are told what to say, and they are told when to pump things and when to sort of stir the pot. That's what we used to call it. So the point of the matter here is that we have to just simply respect the fact that Willie is stupid. The public is stupid right now. It doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin's a buy, but what it definitely says to me is this is not a good place to be a seller. Now, like this scenario, you might have to wait a bit. I'm not calling bottoms here, but what I am absolutely saying is if you did buy Bitcoins and you were like, oh, maybe I should just give up, this is it. You are doing exactly what the public does. And, maybe you do sell here, and then a month or two later, we come back and do another broiler chickens, and we're up. The interesting thing is, and, I've just picked it off the Bitcoin dad low. It might be down here. I don't know. But if we just do very simple rules called the 50% rule, which says that this is W.D. Gann, where he just basically says that naturally prices like to bounce 50% of their previous range. So I'm kind of thinking that, number one, there's probably going to be some sort of seasonal bounce here. Usually this spring, summer, crypto does fairly well, especially altcoins. They love the summertime. I think, too, a lot of the fluff and euphoria of that CME event has been washed out of the market, a la market's now stupid. I also think, too, does it make sense that there's probably a lot of liquidity sitting right up here? All the people that are like, yeah, I'm smart, I'm going to short Bitcoin, Brian says M's are bearish, right? And I'm riding my shorts. I think that trade happened and fucking A, and if you're hedging, keep hedging away. But I hope everybody can understand that if this market does turn and start to move up here, this becomes like a target zone because there's a whole bunch of stop loss orders, people that are short. So that means that their order will be to buy on a stop. So that means if I can go and put in some sort of bottom here and rally, I buy here. I'm going to drive the market up. And remember, these are all buy orders sitting up here. So what am I going to be doing into this window? Can anybody on the YouTube page answer that question? Right. These are all going to be buy on stop orders. I bought down here. Thank you, Dav. Of course, Dav would know this. I'm going to be selling and taking profits into these automatic orders. These people don't even have any choice. So you can kind of see the fuck you setup developing. I can see it developing. Is this the bottom, or do we have another little fuck you down in here to play with these lows? Nobody. If you got a crystal ball, let me know. I used to have an awesome crystal ball, broke it a couple weeks ago. Now I'm just running blind. But if we do actually W here and we start making higher highs and higher lows, I can totally see this scenario playing out. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. So that's sort of my overview of Bitcoin. And you can see it right across the board. Litecoin, same sort of thing. I could very easily see a nice little seasonal rally right back up into this traffic area, maybe even come up and test the underside of this trend line into the summer. Totally plausible. And you can just go through the list. I mean, check out this one. I love this trade. For all the people on YouTube, we've been calling this, and it's sort of my funny trade. But this ADA has just gotten his fucking lunch handed to it, eh? Vroom. I mean, anybody who bought up here, they are just absolutely destroyed here, right? 90% losses. But I actually commented in our room that we had this very powerful fractal fire. And if you are just, we called it the big hairy ones, right? Big hairy balls. You could have just taken this fractal, and I find it fascinating. We've just been following it along. What I find really cool about this trade is now you can see, hey, Joshua, can you see your trade here? I mean, your trade was just perfect here. It's ridiculous. So, the fractal fires. You don't necessarily have to take the fractal, but do you notice there's Joshua sitting right there at his gap? Doing. And the interesting thing is, look how the market is actually trying desperately to bottom right off of Joshua's gap level. And oh, gee whiz, what a coincidence. If we do our reload zone concept, you can see that bottom is coming right in where it's supposed to come in. How ironic, eh? So, if anything, I'm watching names like this because you can see that double bottomy type pattern really playing out here. Now, the guys who took the fractal, you have to risk to the bottom of this tail, and it's ugly, and you can see that's why we call this the big hairy ones trade, because you're taking a lot of heat. But I don't have a problem if you were a guy like Joshua and you snuck in at the gap, or you just worked your bid into the midpoint of the reload zone, or line in the sand. You could even hunt this fractal down in here to get long. You could even play this big W here, and then, of course, ultimately, if we actually do double bottom, well, this level now becomes actually a buy level unto itself. So, and actually I did that on that NMR yesterday. It was really cool sort of series of tweets where what I see in the market is there are different trades developing for different market participants. And really what you have to do in this game is you have to identify what type of market participant are you. As soon as you figure out what type of market participant you are, then you can start building your plan to attack the market. But the problem is most people don't approach investing this way. They do it backwards. They turn on CNBC and they go, oh, what's this guy telling me to buy? Okay, fine. I inherited $5,000 from Uncle Bob. I'm going to go plunk $5,000 into Cripple at the top. Well, thanks, CNBC. But I don't think the investing game works that way. If you want to make money from this shit, right? So I did a really cool little sort of step-by-step on this NMR. If we actually, zoom out and look at the big picture on a name like this, holy Jesus, there's a ton. I don't know. Does anybody see the potential money to be made here? Anybody? I mean, when I look at this, and this is sort of the comment that I wanted to make to the people is that, and I was thinking about this yesterday. It's very hard to articulate, though. Are you in this game because you want to go to the cocktail parties and you want to be able to say to your friends at the cocktail parties that you are in the popular names, and like when Ripple was moving up and you're buying the highs, and hey, look at hey Bob and Susan over there, they bought Ripple, and Joe and his wife Betty, they're into Ripple, so I got to be in Ripple too, so I have something to talk about at the cocktail parties? Or are you in this game to make money from trading? It's really important to make that distinction, everybody. Super important. I actually look at an asset like this, especially with this honking wick up here. And, the irony of it all is I'm not even looking at the total range. I mean, this thing goes ridiculously high. But even if we just look at this range, and I'm a big fan of W's, and hopefully everybody can see the big W that's trying to come in here. If I'm a money manager and I see a situation where I've got a W, and, I've been at this game for like good 30 years, guys. And actually, I officially crossed that in 2018 because I got my first job in the stock market in 1988. 30 fucking years. And if it's one thing that I've learned is that W's work a good 60 to 70% of the time. They're not going to work every day, not going to work 100%, but 60 to 70% odds is sick as a trade setup tool. And of course, why most people fail at this game is that they don't realize that this explicitly implies that you're going to be wrong 30 to 40% of the time. It's just the way it is. And ironically enough, what usually ends up happening is it's really easy to call yourself a trader and really you're a professional and you do this for a living in a bull market, right? Everything's zooming up. Ironically enough, the tell that somebody actually is a professional trader is not how they handle their winners. It's how they handle their losers. It's just as simple as that. So the point of the matter here is, in our education programs, we actually teach you many different ways to handle trades. If you're the canasta people, you could just go and buy a little bit of this. And this is what you need to clue into, guys, is even if I went and threw a buck on the breakout of this, and we just talked about 50% rules. So everybody here should understand, well, Mr. WD Gann, this is pretty logical. We have a top of the range, bottom of the range, 50% level. If I can see a better than 3-to-1 risk reward on taking that W, and even if I just threw a buck at this and just said, well, we'll see what happens to the buck. If it goes off the board, it goes off the board. If I have even the closest of 50% odds, i.e. a coin toss, as a good money manager, I'm here to make money from trading, not cocktail party shit, not, I want to be, I'm a crypto aficionado, and I want, I'm on the inside of the crypto story. I'm a trader, and I'm here to make money from trading. I have to take this bet every fucking day of the week. I have to. That's the job of a money manager, is trying to figure out these asymmetrical risk reward scenarios. The problem that most people get into, especially for you YouTubers who are going to be watching this later on, is most people just don't understand this concept, where if you're going to risk $1 in the market, you have to realistically be able to see at least $2 to be made. In this particular case, it's $3 to be made if I just simply have the patience and discipline to wait for that 50% rule. And as I said, historically, this runs at about 60 to 70%. So this is sort of the higher time frame participant. Nothing wrong with it. And into the spring and summer, I have extremely high confidence that people will make money from trading if they just simply follow their plans and just be nice and patient and wait for a test of these highs. I see no problem with that whatsoever. But I do fully understand that that's not all market participants. We have to really identify and define who we are as a market participant. This is where the whole planning and really the whole purpose of our education program is critical. Because, maybe you say to me, well, Brian, I appreciate that, those higher time frame little old ladies, canasta, but that's not me. I'm a little more higher octane. So, okay, we say, all right, well, let's zoom in and let's do all the same principles, but just off of a finer time frame. Did we say something about W's? Are W's kind of important? I hope you guys can see. Look at what happened the last time this thing W'd. Right? Pretty nice trade, eh? Not bad. In this case, we're not looking for this kind of move all the way up here, but we talked earlier, wicks and tails like to be eaten. Shouldn't surprise anybody. It looks to me like Joshua. Looks like the market had a date with one of his levels right there. You can see the gap. Could we come up and eat these wicks here? Sure. Can we come up and eat this wick? Sure. You heard me talk about candle body highs. So you can see even zoomed in, right? This is this same image, but now, whoops, where is it? Did I get rid of it? Now we're just looking at this range just down in here, right? We know that the higher time frame players, they're going to get all excited on the big breakout up through top here. But that doesn't mean we can't make money while waiting for that to happen. And as I said before, you can see just on a move back to the 50% level, if you just simply bought this W, 2.31 risk reward. If I can realistically see an opportunity to, in essence, and I don't even know, what is this? This is 0.0018. So that means 0.00, I guess what, 36 would be a double. So, sell half on a double would be looking to test this high. But if we just simply, as a trader say, well, you know what, Brian, I want to see that asymmetrical risk reward opportunity. You're being presented a very attractive idea right there. And then finally, yeah, well, Brian, I appreciate that, the swing. So this is like little old lady, a higher time frame investor. Last image was sort of our swing trader. But Brian, I'm a crypto junkie. And frankly speaking, I've got the screen on even when I'm in bed and asleep. Well, we can build a plan to attack that type of trader as well. The interesting thing is that the concepts are universal. You guys see this? Is there anybody here that's not a member of our group that just popped in here? Matt, are you part of TRI? I don't think I've seen you before. Eric, are you part? Matt, yes, you are? Or no, you're not. Anyway. Rocker, are you part of TRI? I don't know whether maybe the public can't come in here. How about you guys over on YouTube? Do Fuentes, are you a part of the are you a part of our site? Or Paulo DS? Can you the simple question is, can you see that all we're doing now is we are just drilling down to a lower time frame and we're just applying the exact same principles. No difference. And the interesting thing for like the crypto kids is, this is their trade. If you live on Twitter or you live on Facebook, you hang out with Shane at Decontrol watching the screen like 24/7. This is their trade, right? And this is the trade that like they're all like Lambos, right? And Da Vinci's got his like, the dollar bill guys and they're flying everywhere and stuff. This is their kind of trade. But that might be you, but it might not be you. I mean, a lot of people that take our education programs, they're like doctors, lawyers, accountants. They can't be watching an hour chart of an altcoin. It'll drive them crazy. But that doesn't mean that these principles can't be applied for those people that are interested in this time frame. It's the exact same shit, just a different pile. So I thought that was a really cool example of what I see going on in the market right now. Is really all you got to do is just identify what your plan is. What do you want to do? How do you want to attack this market? Then we build the plan around that, and there's lots of money to be made all over the place. Okay, I guess that's sort of my rant for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We haven't really been too fastidious on the request list, so why don't we spend some time just going through some requests and just see if there's any loose ends. So any thought? Well, why don't we start here? Because I think we've, what the hell, we'll start at the top and work our way down. So I need, what do I need? I need, and actually it's funny, I've just, over the weekend, I was playing with a day trader setup on crude. I think I want to go back, I think my goal over the next month, or I think let's say over the next 6 months, is I want to go back to my old prop firm and do another one of their combines and pass it and get funded again. So I was running a really cool little opening range strategy off of the New York Kill Zone over the entire course of the entire first quarter, and actually produced pretty good results. And this is exactly what like a trader's life is all about. This is a little bit different, so I'm heading off on a funny tangent here. But in essence, I broke the quarter into thirds, and it was really interesting to see that I had actually like 17 trade setups come through this window, but only 9 setups came through this window. And I had, I think it was 19 setups come through this window. Pretty interesting results, right? Very consistent. 68% through here, 64% through here, 73% there. I mean, and what's fascinating about this is I remember when I was in high school, I had this history class, and the principal of the school taught the history class, and the guy was never around. I mean, it was a joke. I went to a private boarding school back east, and I mean, the education was comical. But anyway, the teacher was never around. Literally, the first day of class, he sort of looked at you. He made a judgment of who you are, and basically, you could literally defecate on a piece of paper and hand it in as an exam or an essay, and he would give you the exact same mark. He didn't even really do any work. And at the beginning of the term, he just decided that I was a 72% guy. B minus. Fuck you, man. And I remember I put in like so much work on essays, and I get 72%. Then I would like literally do no studying at all for exams, 72%. So it just goes to show that he just didn't care. But anyway, the point is that for the longest time in my life, I was very upset with that, right? I wanted to be an A student. I wanted to be perfect, right? Blah, 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 blah. But I actually learned through trading that 72% is actually pretty fucking good. You can make a living with 72%. And I thought it was interesting. I went through this scenario. This is what I like to do, like little fun projects through the weekend to keep myself busy. And I just sort of went through all the day trade setups through the New York Kill Zone, because we're running our day trader group on the site right now, and it's actually extremely popular. They're all working away on Bitcoin, but I think I'm actually going to concentrate on crude for the next little while, because I have a dear place in my heart with crude. But anyway, and I found it fascinating how basically we're each month in the quarter or reporting period of the study that I did actually produced just about almost exactly the same results. And what was really interesting too, and I used to find this when I was prop trading, is that you might go through 3 or 4 losers in a row. And that's, like I said earlier, that's how you actually define whether you're a good professional trader, is can you handle having to book like 2 or 3 losers in a row? It's a pain in the ass, don't get me wrong. But I found it fascinating that this simple model with an average of 68% produced 31 winners and 14 losers for a total of 45 trades through the quarter. And it actually generated a quarterly income of $7,410. That's not bad. Like a guy could actually live off of $3,000 US dollars. It is a US dollar, so that's like 10,000-15,000 Canadian. But a guy could actually live off of that. That's actually not a bad living, right? So it's just this was a fun experiment. I'll probably be talking with the day trader group and the community more about this down the road. And like I said, I would like to start implementing this model. Where did I want to go? Oh yeah, we were going to talk about your requests. So church. All right, so let's see what we got up first. Core, K-O-R-E, and some of these might not be on TradingView, so bear with me. There's Core on Bittrex. Let's see what we got. We'll probably stick to just higher time frame analysis here. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Coming up against the bottom end of trading ranges, you can see the W's are starting to form. Not a bad idea at all. If we throw on some of our simple momentum, price, and volume indicators, maybe we can get an idea of what the internals look like. Not bad. You can see Willie was stupid. Terrible time to be a seller of this asset down here. OBV still trending higher. Looks solid. Money still flowing in. That's a good sign. This is somewhat of a divergence. I mean, long and short of it here, I think if anything, you'd probably say just moment price, the raw push is sideways right now. But given seasonality, if anything, maybe work a stink bid below value here. If you can get filled on a nice cheeky little stink bid below value, that'd be awesome. I suppose Joshua would probably recommend that we zoom in on this price range here and see if there are any unfilled gaps. There we are. Hey, Joshua, what do you think? Is that a level that you could live with? Doink. So there is that hole in the charts that still ought to be filled in. So maybe work your stink bid. The irony of it all is you see how violent up these things are when they get going. Could we be nanny nibbling along here? Sure. Could you do like little reload zones? I don't know whether I'd chase the W there. That's pretty high. But, reload zone off of this whole range, anywhere down here, nanny nibble's perfectly fine. And as long as you have this sort of anecdote that the money is still flowing into this story, I'm perfectly comfortable staying with it. So that's a good looking name. Nicely done. Might even go buy some myself. And it's interesting. We go through this about once every maybe about 6 months or so, where I go on the daily briefs and I'm like, guys, all you got to do, I mean, you could literally blindfold yourself, randomly pick like 20 coins, and the odds are you're probably going to make money. I remember back in October, November. Do you guys remember that? We were saying the same thing. I remember before the market went nuts there into October, December, January, we were saying day after day. I remember we had, was it Michael and his Stellar on the site? Was that this year or was that last year? Jeez, can't even remember. Anyway, we were just simply saying, guys, that was this year. Okay, yeah, it was. You could literally, just, shooting fish in a barrel. Well, I kind of think, you look at a name like this Core right now, and this is kind of like idiot investing. And of course, is the public at all interested in this in the slightest bit right now? No. So, I think the story speaks for itself. Not bad. Hi, Chief. MOD BTC looks nibble worthy. Hey, Thor. So nice to see you, Thor. Thor's such a sweet human being. I miss my Thor. What the hell is your symbol, Thor? MOD. MOD. Yeah, you know me. On Binance. Ooh. Is it also on... Oh, it's only on Binance. Well, actually, probably not a bad idea. We look at this in dollar terms. Ooh, actually looks very good. You can definitely see they've taken the fluff out of this market, no doubt about it. Probably, as we've said repeatedly, and, people on YouTube, at some point, I'm sure you're going to go, geez, this guy's just a broken record. He says the same damn thing every time. And hopefully, everybody should understand that I would be like, okay, where's Joshua hunting? Are there any gaps in here? If we do have a substantial counter trend rally in Bitcoin, that might knock this thing back down into this range, regardless of what the story is here. So be mindful of that. We're sitting at the POC, so it's sort of like a coin toss. You're going to see top of the range, bottom of the range. So right at the moment, Nanny Nibbles, right? Are we in reload zone? Sure looks to me like we're, definitely not chasing the top of the market anymore. So that's good. Do we have actual W's working here yet? I think you're a little bit early there. Do like OBV, you can clearly see somebody went and bought a shitload of this thing all through here. So things have kind of calmed down a little bit here. Don't like how we're making lower highs on these green bars now. That's a bit worrisome. And somebody stepped up and sold a big chunk of this thing yesterday. So be careful here. So yeah, nibble wise, okay. Pound the table, you got to load up on this thing? No. And if you want to work some stink bids, I kind of thinking we probably got to explore down into here. Maybe if you can, really cheeky, see if you can get in down like right off these original lows. Especially if Josh was in here hunting for gaps. You'll probably see it here. Might be something in there off the lower time frames. Ooh, it might even be something right there. So be careful. Looks real. Whoop, there's a little bit of a gap right there. I think we probably filled this one in though. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's where we are right now. So it should make complete sense why the market came into here and jackknifed away. This obviously is a very important level for this asset. And as I said earlier, you really want to hunt like super sexy levels. I would go down to maybe like an hourly chart. And see if you can find any holes in the chart back here. Oh boy, let's go back a while, eh? La, da, 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 there we are. All right. So that was the gap on the daily chart. Let's see what we got off the lower time frames. All right. Oh, look, there's a big gap right there. Looks like there's another gap right there. Not bad. Oh, you can see the original bottom right there. There's the W. Boom, boom, boom. Actually, it's not as many gaps in here as I thought there would be. So probably right off of here, eh? Yeah. So right off, can you guys see the original double bottom, down, up, down? And it's almost like they said, if we have to bring this thing back down, we know exactly where to bring it back down to. Gap there, gap there, and gap down here. All right, boom, boom, boom. So let's go see what that looks like now. All right, so, oh yeah, look how that lines up with that notch very nicely. So I'm thinking you want to work stinky bids. I think there's your level. 16, 1500, 15, 1600 right in there. Okay, let's move on. Verge. Everybody loves Verge. And actually, I'm surprised. Verge has done pretty darn well through all of this, eh? Probably one of the better performers through this correction. We have a setup that likes to work with trend lines. One, you want to see 3 tags. Is this a tag of that trend line? I don't know, but you can clearly see the W on the other side of that. So we affectionately call this setup the Leanne James now. We've changed its name from the porn star. But Leanne really likes this setup, so I think we can work with calling it LJs from now on. But you can see that structural turn especially a nice clothesline right in there. I don't know whether I'd be comfortable chasing this high wick up here, but I definitely like that clothesline buy signal. Really nice, solid level right there. And you can see it popped up, and it came back down, closed right at that level, opened up the next day, went, yep, I'm okay. I can go. I think if anything, if you want to try and get in on this is why I have the reload zone on here. Let's maybe look for some sort of dip back against these levels. And I think if I'm not mistaken, there's a gap right there too, eh? Yeah, there we are. Joshua, this is just a field day for you today, eh? I'm giving you probably about 10 different names to work bids on. So you can see if I was working a stink bid, right, there's the level. It's as plain as day. And you know Joshua's going to be hanging around there. If he ain't on his surfboard fighting off sharks, then he's in chasing gaps. In fact, this is our affectionately for everybody. If you ever see any tweets, Joshua is just surfing, so he went and punched this guy in the nose. But you got to understand, to be able to punch this guy in the nose, this is Joshua. He's a fucking dude, man. It's incredible watching Joshua in the fucking market. To any of you guys, if you ever, especially YouTubers and anybody's watching this later on, if you ever see this, I'm talking about Joshua. And I love to put tweets about that. Isn't that cool? I think that's so fucking awesome. We're just having fun. And that's a thing too, everybody that's watching on YouTube. Like, oh, of course, all the site members, they know this by heart. But to be able to do this for 20, 30 years, you have to have fun at this. You have to be able to derive enjoyment out of your research. And, this is why we give all these setups these funny names, Davos and Kavarkinators and, demon gap hunters and stuff. You've got to make this enjoyable. Don't make this a slog. Don't make this unfun, or you're just going to lose interest in it. So that's half the reason why I come up with these funny names and images and stuff. So on balance, I got to hand it to the Verge people. Everybody should understand, though, and it's almost funny in a way, but you all need to understand that I am long Verge. Actually, that's interesting. I didn't even think Verge would be on there. I am long Verge from down here. So, do you guys remember this? Shane, were you around when we did this? We used to talk about this for so long. There's an old rule in the marketplace that says, and let's see if you guys can fill in the blanks. How does the saying go? I'll just put it off there. The longer the anyone channel, the bigger the run. So I'm long Verge from 2 sats. This is ridiculous. When I saw it go up to like 1,800 sats, I couldn't believe this. It's almost funny. After a while, you're just like, this is ridiculous. 2 sats, like 1,800 sats. Yeah, that's right. I started off, I bought about 2 million of these things down here at 2 sats. And I have left, because I sell halves on doubles the whole damn way up, I have like about 2,500 left. Isn't that funny? So, people come to me and they're like, hey, Brian, should I buy Verge? And I go, well, let me tell you a story. and it's almost painful for me to think about paying 400 sats for this thing, right? I can't bring myself to do it. 400 sats for this thing? You gotta be kidding me. I bought it at 2 fucking sats. Now, this is a good commentary of the insanity of venture capital, guys. It really is. Such a good commentary. Could they have to bring this thing right back down to 2 sats? Yeah, it's definitely possible. No doubt about it. I'm very impressed with the job that these people have done, and they seem to have a pretty good head on their shoulders, but I can't go in. I couldn't touch this thing here. Just couldn't do it. Sorry, guys. I know you want me to go, yeah, go and buy it. It's a fucking, it's going to make $1 million. But, I'll enjoy whatever I've left on. And of course, if they want to take it to new highs, I'll have more sell orders working. You know that. But I've already hit my home run here. I don't need to go and fuck up the trade by going and buying right in the middle of the range here. So I couldn't touch it, but fingers crossed for the community. I hope they perform. Okay, that's about 11:30. I think I've been going for about an hour here or so. I think I got to go get ready for the boy and go fight with my car. Oh, Jesus, what a mess. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation today. Yeah, we got through a few names. We'll pick up, next show. I think Thomas is away one of the days in the week, and we'll just pick up where we left off and keep going through your list here. As always, make yourself very comfortable in the members lounge, and we have an absolutely fantastic community, very robust. Even on the weekend here, it's Sunday. We still have 200 people sitting on the site just hanging out. And great content that we're posting in the lounge. What the hell is this? Something. Oh, that's New Bits. Hey, wasn't that cool to see that New Bits finally came alive? So actually, why don't we, before we leave, let's have a quick commentary on this New Bits. We had talked recently in our sort of daily briefs and stuff about how it felt like they were running the market against these guys, and be careful. But also, too, if you wanted to get out, just make sure that you had your open orders working, because I had a funny feeling something like this was going to happen. I don't know whether they've got their hedge peg back yet. They're sitting at 70 cents, 77 cents on the dollar. I've heard also, too, that you can take your New Bits and actually get paid in income on their site. If you lock them away for a certain amount of time, they'll pay you interest. So you might want to consider doing that. We bought this as a hedge, and of course, I'm long everything in crypto. I own everything. So it's not really like I have any specific objective on this asset. If anything, I like to learn from the market. You can see where we did some buying. We were underwater for a while. We were looking like geniuses for a while. We're back above water right now. What I would like to see, though, is I'd like to see these guys get their hedge sort of, what do you call it? Policy? I don't know. Back in line, and they get back sort of respected in the market again. We'll see what happens. As you can see, even now we're back above water, so I'm not really too concerned about this. You just have to understand with this crazy New Bits, it is up and down like a horror's drawers. I had bought it like we've got all these different hedge proxies going. I had bought it as sort of an experiment to sort of see how the hedge was going to go. And it was, thank heavens you don't go and bet the farm on anything, because these guys, they seriously ran into some trouble about a month or so ago. But if you did, and the cool part about it is we've got people on the site who are like, hey, I got off another double today. Look at me. Woohoo. So way to go, guys. I mean, fucking rocket. But just an update to our community. Am I going to be doing anything with this position right now? No, I'm not really in any hurry to do anything there. So, okay, I think we'll leave it at that. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope you feel as though you're getting good value out of site participation. And, if you are watching us on YouTube and you're like, what the hell do those guys do all day long over at TRI? Well, this is what we do on a daily basis. So, all right, guys, have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.